Welcome back to Echoes of the Past. Thanks everyone for tuning in again.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving deep into something really fascinating and pretty relevant right now, how you can actually train and personalize artificial intelligence. We've got this practical guide we've been looking at that seems to cut through a lot of the noise.
Yeah, it does. And our mission today really is to help you understand how you can adapt AI for what you need. Moving past the hype,
Yeah.
getting practical.
Exactly. We want to show you the tools, the techniques, make it feel reachable, even if you're not like a super technical person.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Because the power is becoming more accessible.
Totally. We know you're all coming from different backgrounds, technically speaking, so we'll try to break it down clearly. No getting lost in jargon, hopefully.
We'll do our best.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This term training AI, we hear it all the time. What does it actually mean? Is it like installing software or something else?
That's a great starting point. At its core, training AI means teaching a type of program, a machine learning model, how to do specific tasks or spot patterns in data. But there are different levels of doing this. Some are super complex, others surprisingly doable.
Right. The guide mentioned a few. It started with training from scratch. Sounds huge.
It is huge. That's what the big companies do, like OpenAI, Google. They build those foundational models using, just colossal amounts of data and, frankly, insane computing power.
Okay.
It's not really practical for, most individuals or even most businesses. So we can probably just set that one aside for today's chat.
Agreed. Let's focus on the practical stuff. The guide really highlighted fine-tuning a pre-trained model. That sounds more like where personalization might happen.
Absolutely. Fine-tuning is key. You take one of those big, powerful models that already knows a ton of general stuff.
Right, it's already educated.
Exactly.
Is all.
And then you show it your data,
Yeah.
a much smaller specific set, maybe legal documents or medical notes or even just your company's internal emails and style guides.
Ah, okay.
And the model adapts. It learns the nuances of your specific domain or your brand's voice.
So it's like giving that educated person specific on-the-job training. That makes sense. Okay, what about prompt engineering? The guide mentioned that too. How's that different?
Prompt engineering is really interesting
Yeah.
because you're not actually changing the AI model itself at all. No, it's all about the input, the instructions, the questions you feed into the AI.
Yeah.
By being really careful and clever with how you phrase your prompts, adding context, you guide the existing model to give you exactly what you need.
So it's less about changing the engine, more about being a really good driver.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's about skillful communication with the AI.
Got it. But then there was, this sounded powerful, embedding plus vector search. The guide called it giving AI a dynamic memory. Can you unpack that one?
Okay, yeah, this is cool. Imagine you have like a whole library of your own stuff, notes, PDFs, articles, whatever. Embedding converts the text in those documents into, basically numbers. Complex sets of numbers called vectors. Think of it as a mathematical representation of the meaning.
Okay, numbers for meaning.
Right. And a special kind of database, a vector database, organizes these number vectors. So when you ask the AI a question, your question also gets turned into a vector. The system then really quickly finds the documents in your library whose vectors are mathematically closest, meaning semantically similar.
So it finds the relevant stuff instantly based on meaning, not just keywords.
Precisely. The AI then uses those retrieved documents as context right there on the spot to answer your question. It's like giving the AI instant access to your personal knowledge base, letting it connect dots. It's pretty fundamental.
Wow, okay, that does sound like a dynamic memory. It's not learning in the fine-tuning sense, but it's accessing relevant info just in time.
Very cool.
And lastly, the guide mentioned system messages or persona training.
Yes. This is more about setting the rules of engagement, you could say. How should the AI behave? You define its tone, formal, casual, funny. Its role is an expert advisor, a helpful buddy, a strict proofreader.
You tell it how to be?
Exactly. And you set constraints, like never give financial advice or always cite your sources. It helps shape the interaction to fit the task.
And the guide made a point that you can actually mix and match these things, right? Combine them.
Oh, absolutely. That's where it gets really powerful. You might fine-tune a model on medical research, then use embeddings to give it access to specific patient case files, and use prompt engineering to ask very targeted diagnostic questions and give it a persona of a cautious consultant.
Okay, layering these techniques unlocks much more specific capabilities. That makes a lot of
It
sense.
really does. You're not just getting linear improvements. You're creating something genuinely tailored.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have a much better picture now of the different ways to personalize AI. We know the what's.
Yeah,
How do we actually do it? What are the tools we can use? Here's where it gets really interesting.
it is. Yeah. And the good news is the ecosystem of tools is just exploding. It's getting easier all the time. We can kind of split them into tools for folks comfortable with code and tools for no code or low code users.
That sounds helpful. The guy did that too. Let's start with the developers. What's in their toolkit?
Okay, for developers, a lot revolves around APIs. Think of APIs from OpenAI, Claude, Mistral, Gemini. They're like digital doorways. Your code talks to these big AI brains through the API, sends requests, gets responses back. That's the foundation for building custom apps.
Right, accessing the core intelligence.
Exactly. Then you've got tools like LangChain or Llama Index. These are orchestration frameworks. They help manage the tricky workflows like connecting to different data sources, building those retrieval pipelines we talked about, basically stitching everything together.
Managing the complexity.
And for that embedding plus vector search piece, you need specialized vector databases. Pinecone, Weaviate, Supabase is adding capabilities too. These are built specifically to store and search those meaning vectors really fast. Got it. Specialized storage for meaning.
And if you do want to fine-tune, platforms like Hugging Face are amazing. They offer pre-trained models, tools, data sets, a whole community around making fine-tuning more accessible.
So quite a few building blocks for developers. Okay, what about the rest of us? The ones who maybe aren't writing Python scripts every day?
Yeah, there's a lot happening in the no-code, low-code space too, which is great. For just uploading documents and making them searchable by an AI, that dynamic memory thing, there are platforms like Chatbase or Custom GPT. Pretty user-friendly interfaces.
So you can build a custom knowledge bot easily.
Relatively easily, yeah. And if you use tools like Notion already, its built-in AI features, maybe combined with automation tools like Zapier, let you do some interesting personalization without coding. Like you could automatically feed certain notes into Notion AI.
Oh, connecting tools you already use.
Right. And then there are visual tools like Flowise AI. These give you a drag-and-drop canvas to connect different AI parts together, visually building out those workflows. Okay, so definitely options opening up, regardless of your coding comfort level. That's good to hear. Now, the guide also mentioned a few key concepts that seem important even for non-coders. Embeddings, prompt templates, context window. Can we quickly define those in plain English?
Sure. Embeddings, we touched on this, turning text into those number vectors so the AI gets the meaning. Words with similar meanings end up closer together in this, like, mathematical space.
Right, meaning math. Got it.
Prompt templates are just preset ways to ask the AI questions, like fill in the blanks for your prompts. Using a consistent structure often gets you better, more predictable results.
Standardizing the input. Okay.
And the context window. That's basically the AI short-term memory. How much information it can juggle, your prompt, the chat history, retrieve documents at any one time while it's working on a response. These windows are getting bigger, but there's still a limit.
So how much it can think about at once.
Got it. That's super helpful context. Okay, so we know the what and the how with tools. Let's see it in action. Can we talk about some real-world examples? What's fascinating here is seeing how these different techniques actually come together to solve real problems.
Exactly right. The examples make it tangible. Take customer support bots. We've all interacted with them, right? The good ones are often trained, maybe fine-tuned, maybe using embeddings on that specific company's internal docs, their FAQs, maybe even past chat logs.
So they give relevant answers, not generic ones.
Precisely. They draw from that specific knowledge base. They might be embedded right on the website, answering questions instantly.
Makes sense. What else? The guide mentioned legal uses.
Yeah, AI legal assistance. This is a big one. Fine-tuning models on mountains of legal contracts, case law, regulations. It can dramatically speed up things like document review or finding relevant precedents.
Wow.
It doesn't replace the lawyer, but it frees them up from some of the drudgery, letting them focus on strategy. Sounds like a serious productivity boost in a field with tons of text. Okay, what about more personal stuff? AI coaches.
Yes. This area is really exploding. Personalized AI coaches for like health and fitness, business advice, even learning a new language. The personal part comes from tailoring it to you, your communication style, how you like to learn, your specific goals.
How does it know your style?
It could be trained on examples of your writing, or maybe you explicitly tell it how you prefer to interact.
Yeah.
Some systems might even analyze recordings of your voice to match your speech patterns when giving feedback. It gets quite nuanced.
Whoa, okay. An
Yeah.
AI that really gets you. That's
Yeah.
interesting. The guide also mentioned writers and content creators.
Yeah, this is a great use case. A writer could feed an AI all their past articles, blog posts, maybe even just notes and outlines.
Train it on their own voice.
Essentially, yeah, or at least give it deep context. Then the AI can help brainstorm ideas that fit their style, generate rough drafts, maybe help break through writer's block by suggesting angles based on their previous work.
Like having an AI collaborator who already knows your stuff. Cool. And one more, internal knowledge agents. For companies.
Hugely valuable, especially in big organizations. Imagine an AI that's read the entire company, wiki, all the Slack channels, project docs.
Everything.
Basically, yeah. Employees can then just ask it questions like, what's our policy on X? Or summarize the Q3 project Y findings. It saves so much time digging for information. It becomes the go-to expert on internal knowledge.
That alone seems like it would be worth a lot. It's amazing how these diverse examples all seem to trace back to those core ideas, fine-tuning, embeddings, prompts.
That's the key takeaway, really. The underlying techniques are versatile.
Definitely sparking ideas. Okay, so we see what's possible. Let's get really practical now. If someone listening wants to actually try building a basic personalized AI, what are the steps? So what does this all mean in terms of like a simplified workflow?
Okay, let's map out a high-level path. It's not as daunting as it might seem conceptually. Step one always is data. You got to collect the information you want the AI to know about.
And this can be normal files, right? PDFs, documents.
Exactly. PDFs, Word docs, text files, emails, maybe even website content or transcripts. Stuff you likely already have. The key is getting the relevant data together.
Okay, collect the knowledge, then what?
Then, typically, you generate embeddings from that data, turn that text into the meaning vectors we talked about. You'd use an embedding model, maybe from OpenAI or another provider, and you store those vectors in a vector database, Pinecone, Weaviate, something like that.
Creating the searchable meaning index. Got it.
Step three.
Step 3 is building the retrieval pipeline. This is where you connect that vector database to a language model like GPT-4, Claude, etc., often using those orchestration tools like LangChain or LambIndex.
The bridge.
Right, the bridge that lets the language model query your vector database to find the relevant context when it gets a user question.
Okay, so the AI can now access the knowledge. How do we shape its personality or rules? That's step 4. Customizing the behavior. This is where those system messages come in. You explicitly tell the AI its role, its tone, its constraints, like the guide's example. You are a financial advisor providing conservative advice only.
Defining the persona.
Exactly. And you'd also experiment here with prompt templates, finding the best way to structure your questions to get the answers you need consistently from your data.
Makes sense. And finally, making it usable.
Yep. Step 5 is hosting and deployment. How do people interact with it?
Oh.
For simple things, tools like Streamlit or Gradio make it pretty easy to build a basic web interface. Or you could integrate it into other apps using APIs connected to Slack, Notion, Zapier, build it into your own app.
Lots of options there too. Okay, that's a really helpful overview. Collect data, embed it, build the retrieval bridge, define the behavior, and then deploy it. It demystifies the process somewhat.
It's definitely becoming more of an engineering task than pure research science, especially for these retrieval-based systems.
Right. Now, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are some of the challenges or pitfalls people should be aware of when they start personalizing AI?
Oh, absolutely. Important considerations. First big one, security and privacy. If you're feeding the AI sensitive personal or company data, you need to be incredibly careful about where that data goes, who can access it, and how it's secured. Using third-party APIs means understanding their data usage policies.
Super important. Can't just upload everything without thinking. What else?
Bias and hallucinations are still factors. Even an AI trained on your data can inherit biases present in that data. And they can still hallucinate, make things up, or generate plausible but incorrect information. You always need a human in the loop for critical tasks, vetting the output.
So personalization doesn't magically fix inaccuracy. Good reminder.
Definitely not. Then there's overfitting.
Yeah.
If you fine-tune a model too narrowly on very specific data, it might become great at that one niche task, but lose its ability to handle slightly different requests or generalize. It becomes too specialized.
Finding the right balance in training.
Exactly. Also, updates. Your knowledge base probably isn't static.
Yeah.
Documents get updated, new information comes in. You need a process to refresh the AI's knowledge, re-embedding new data, maybe occasional fine-tuning updates. It requires ongoing maintenance.
It's not a one-and-done thing?
Not usually, no.
Yeah.
And finally, cost. Using APIs, storing embeddings, running compute.
Yeah.
It all incurs costs. It might be small for personal projects, but it can scale up. So managing usage and understanding the pricing models is crucial.
Right, practical realities. This raises an important question. How do we balance the amazing potential of personalization with these, very real responsibilities around security, accuracy, and cost?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It requires thoughtful design, clear policies, user education, and a constant awareness that these tools are powerful but imperfect. Transparency about how the AI works and where its knowledge comes from is also key.
Definitely a lot to think about there. Okay, looking ahead now, where do you see this heading? What does the future of personalized AI look like, and how might it impact, our listeners' everyday lives?
I think the future is incredibly personal. Imagine work copilots that don't just understand generic software, but deeply understand your projects, your collaborators, your preferred ways of working.
Wow.
Or AI companions tailored to help with specific life goals, managing health, learning skills, even just organizing your personal life, all adapting to your unique needs and communication style over time. Maybe even digital twins based on our personal data, capable of simulating scenarios or acting as memory aids.
That sounds potentially transformative. It also raises questions, though, like how much personalization is too much? Who controls that data and these deeply personalized models?
Huge ethical questions we need to grapple with as a society. But the underlying trend seems clear. AI is becoming less of a monolithic, one-size-fits-all thing and more something we can shape, mold, and tailor. The power to do that is moving closer to the individual.
It really feels like we're shifting toward a much more bespoke digital world. This has been incredibly insightful, breaking down how personalization actually works. So as you're listening, maybe start thinking, how could you use this? What specific need could a personalized AI fill for you? A coach, an assistant, a knowledge manager.
It's worth pondering.
Definitely. And speaking of AI's impact, next time on the Deep Dive, we're tackling a big one. Should AI take your job or help you love it again? That promises to be a fascinating discussion.
Looking forward to it.
Me too. So if you found today's deep dive into making AI personal valuable, please do subscribe to the Deep Dive. Give us a like, maybe share it with someone else who's curious about this stuff.
It helps others find the show.
It really does. Thanks so much for joining us on Echoes of the Past. We'll catch you next time.